So you can download, actually you can download the slides from NIA website. What's that? The conference called Asia League, Asia Leagues, ASIALICS. So Asia Leagues. So these are the slides from different participants of the conference. So, the first one is by Mr. Piek. So he's the mayor of Solna district. Is a part of Stockholm in Sweden. So what they were working on is on the creative city. Okay, so I think it's the normal conditions, and we will see more and more of these kind of things. There are cities that are expanding, getting bigger, and there are cities that is shrinking, getting smaller, and all the cities, in order to survive the centuries, they need to create some new strategies to sustain the city. So again, you can see the population is about 60,000. So let's say if you imagine KUTT, we are the community of around 20,000 people, so 3 times the size of KUTT. And it's shrinking, so what he talks more in the point of view of politician. So these 5 people coming to join the session are different people, different cities, from different cities. So after they have this, so you can see, they need to start by doing new infrastructure. They say that Sweden started the mass transit long time ago and haven't done new ones for many years. Maybe it's like Bangkok, from Rama V, we have all the train lines. And after Rama V, for almost 150 years, and we did not, at one point, did not even start one line, up until when we start to think about Hopewell, right? And then it failed, and then the BTS lines and MRT line. So this is kind of happening in this 10 years time. But it would be the same. So in order to create a new access to Solna, so a new line has been created. And another thing that is the strategy is that they created a new sport facility in the area of Solna. So it becomes like a municipality landmark. So it can draw people in, and it's a chance to, I think, develop infrastructure relating to the stadium. Right? So that's kind of a good opportunity for people. And so a very important element in, I think, all cases are the universities. Because clearly the universities would have the role in terms of human resource management. If you would like to motivate people, if you would like to change the attitude of people, if you would like to implant some kind of new capabilities into people, It's kind of it's a kind of friendly organization. Instead of you have training center or something, as it become universities and it's knowledge and skills come with it. So they plan, they will focus on, health, medical education. So they bring in people, and then so people would need to move in. There will be researchers related. So, for example, this morning I watched a documentary, an NHK documentary. It's about the program called Professionals. In that program, that particular program, is a lady who is a nurse. So she is the nurse that focusing on one thing: how to improve the eating habit for elderly. Only one area, because as you're getting older and it's really hard to eat, and when you're getting sick or people faced with a stroke, they fell down, and then when during the recovery, it's really hard for people to eat. So she studied everything, related to eating, even the spoon, the design of the spoon itself, it has some bumps onto it to stimulate the tongue, right? And she studied the angle of how to feed people with spoons, right? So the angle, the movement of the hand and the angle, how to put the food in, right? And even the decline of the bay, at what stage, maybe at the beginning of recovery, they say, okay, it should be 30 degree, to the ground. And then as you are better, and then start to be 60, it's moving up, right? And it's about ergonomic also. If you leave the elderly just having the food, in a normal way, and they need to move their body a lot. So they said, okay, in order for the elderly to be in a good posture, so they design pillows to adding up and raising the elbow, and then people start to eat very well. And in some difficult case that involve the MRI and the taste, how they swallow up the food into the throat. And there are different channels that the liquid and the food can come down to the stomach. So there are different channels. So they need to understand the muscle, and the muscle, the mouth, and everything. Only one topic, the food, the eating habit of the elderly is one important area. At the beginning of the day, she comes to the office, she needs to check the computer. In the computer, there will be information about, the temperatures and everything, because at the end of the day, she needs to go back home. So when she starts to start the day, she needs to understand what happened during the night. So in her computer at the beginning of the day, she will see different conditions of the people, the body temperature and the muscle, and they sleep, how many hours they sleep, and then she will then know everything how to treat people. So that's and she needs to argue with the doctors, the physicians, because the physician, if the patient cannot eat, just put the food through the tube, something like that. But she said, eating through the mouth is very important thing to do for to improve the illness, because it's about mentality, the belief of the patient in her or his ability to handle the food, right? And the communication, encouragement, everything. So if the patient can eat the food through the mouth, so the condition of the patient will be improved very quickly. So again, this medical center, if you create a lot of topics, so specialists need to come in, and you need new generations, new people. Okay, so you can see there will be up to 30,000, and I would like to tell you one thing is that our school or our university, when we talk about innovation district, we are not focusing on physical development of the area. Even though we are mentioning something about the physical development, but the aim is very much related to people and the economic side of it. If we have nice place, nice building, it's not the goal. It's very easy to do nice buildings, right? It's easy to do, nice park, but it's really hard to motivate people to have entrepreneurial thinking, and even more difficult to encourage people to dare to do innovations. That's even more difficult, It's easier to do, to learn to do what other people can do. But if you would like to encourage people to do new things, it's a lot of uncertainties, I'm not so sure, and whether or not what you are working on will be successful and well accepted in the market, you wouldn't know. So if you wouldn't know, there's something mentally you would say, okay, maybe you will step back. That's the really hard part of innovation district. And because of that, if we have, the building will come after. People first and then things later. So there are many things. It's not only infrastructure, but regulatory. Regulatory is very important. You understand regulatory, right? Laws and regulations. You heard about Grab taxi, right? That's new, but it's problematic in terms of regulation. Because if you have some kind of a normal business, the government can tax them very easily. But if you have a new kind of business, right now what happened is that the mayor said, because with the internet, people can rent out their homes and space and provide similar service to hotels, right? So what happened? So the city cannot tax because it's their houses and it's not registered, right? So people, the population can charge their customer the money, but the government, instead of getting more tax from the people, the new kind of business, the government cannot tax. So what kind of things they need to think about to accommodate these kind of changes? There's a good side about it. People get more money. But if only the people get the money, how can the city get enough income to provide, good enough infrastructure, maintain the existing infrastructure. So that's really difficult. And so from the point of view of a politician, he says that it's very important that he needs to create jobs and creating more incomes. And one of our advisors, who is a Korean, is an advisor to the university, also discuss about how to help, for example, Thai people to get away from middle income trap, right? To create more income for people. So you can see. So bad things decrease, good things increase, right? And he said that it should go for the sustainable goals of the city. So once you have more people, I'll also show you acquaintance with Bang Thu Thien or not. You know, Bang Thu Thien is our campus where the School of Architecture is now located. It's quite far away from the city. So when we was there alone, we had around 700 students bachelor degree. So when we have only 700 students, it's really hard to have convenience store. It's really hard to have even a canteen, dormitory, right? So the strategy is that the university created new schools. They move in media arts, they move in media tech, they move in bioresource, they move in new facilities. So once we have the population around 3,000, in all, so we start to have convenience store. So people, the number of people are quite very important. It's economy of the scale. If you don't have enough people, so you cannot provide quality. So the strategy of the city to create more jobs, to attract more people, is very important for the sustainability and the quality of life of the people of Seoul. So that's the point of view from the mayor. Okay. So the second one is the case of Turin. In here it's called Torino, maybe it's an Italian word for it. Okay. So again, in Turin, there are quite a number of people in the area. A bigger city compared to Seoul, I think. But the city is focusing very much on tourism, right? So at the beginning, and at certain period of time, they introduced in more industries into the area. So there's a good and bad things about it. Sometimes you think about creating jobs, but sometimes you're creating also pollution, right? Bad environment. So, these things is not, for the modern period of time, it's not only about money, it's not only about survival, but we're talking about sustainability, long-term sustainability. So it's a good period of time. I think slowing down the economy in one side is very good, right? Because when the time that economy is expanding so fast, and then people just think about money, how to compete, thinking about creating more, doing more, and then the quality is less. It's the same as Turin. So they say that once they have too much industrialized sectors, and then the quality of life is getting down. So they are maybe thinking about something more innovative. So their strategy is actually creating creating connections, right? So and they create the city to be the center of education. So they have, again, you will see there are universities, a lot of universities in the area. And then what they created, they create, they are thinking about problems that we need to face in the future, right? Urbanization, right? Migration, the big problem in European countries right now. Resource scarcity, food, medical services, climate change, on flooding, drought, health, technological shift, inequalities, waste, demographic change. Right? So this aspect they think into it, and then what kind of city should we have right now? So that's that. So they say that more and more people is going to move into the city. That's what we mentioned at the beginning, right? People would love to have convenience, right? They would like to have access to services, all kinds, education, good food, good transportation, good medical services, everything, right? And what kind of new jobs that going to happen in the future, right? So social change challenges, so it should be, on Tuesday at the university, we met with our freshman. This guy, he's just 18, but he's the special, he's the new generation guy. He owned 5 companies, 3 startups, 2 holding companies, and 2 of them is registered in Singapore. 18, just finished the high school, coming to KUTT as the first student, and we are going to face more and find more these people, because as I mentioned, the university cannot monopolize the knowledge. He has connections, he has the ideas, and what you can learn through the internet, and he can connect people through the internet. So, though he is very young, and talking about him is that to show you that this is the kind of new generation. It's not limited to just formal education or formal workplace. They're going to be. So we need a new kind of city for this new generation. That's just to have you imagine what kind of thing is going to come. Okay. So what Marco, who is the presenter of this slide, says that. So he started by connecting private sectors to fund the project. The government wouldn't have enough. Currently in Thailand, we have something called Pacharat, which, in my opinion, does not reflect the real meaning of the word. It's actually the English word for it is a PPP, public, private, and people co-investment. So it means that the government hold the right and the authority, to manage the whole country, right? But they don't have enough money, and because of the bureaucratic system, we need to be fair to people. We need to be open to people. We need to treat people equally, and we should have a kind of reliable system. So all these concepts would bring in impractical management structure. For example, how to say? Okay, if I'm a teacher, right? Teacher should be the one who, treat the students equally. If we have an A grade student, B grade student, and D grade student, in the class, so what I should do is that I should help them to learn, right? Encourage everybody to learn, to be the best that they can, right? That's the concept of the general teacher, right? But in the private sector, you have the A grade employee, B grade employee, D grade employee. What I'm going to do? I eliminate I eliminate the D grade employee immediately. You know, why bother have the D grade employee in my office, right? And it's the same as the government, because the idea, the concept of the government is that we, you know, the government is there to ensure the equal treatment of people, the equal opportunity concept. So we cannot, you know, treat people differently. And because of that, you know, we need to embrace the inefficient system, you know, to the government structure. So it's really hard to move, and we cannot make a lot of money, because if government agencies make a lot of profit, people start complaining about it, right? If they charge the electricity highly, so people are going to complain. If we charge the water highly, so people start to complain, right? But if it's the private sector, so they can think about the profit. And there are strategies in which, you know, people would not feel that they, you know, you go to Starbucks, you know, do you know you know, you pay 100 something for a cup of coffee. It's just a cup of coffee, why you pay so much? You would not complain, Starbucks. Oh, it's not fair. You know, the real cost of the coffee is only 6 baht. You know, my family run a coffee shop, you know. The real cost of the materials per cup is 6 baht. 6 baht, but Starbucks sell it 100 something baht. What are they charging for? You know, they charge for the ambience of the, you know, the shops and everything. But people are willing to pay for it. But if you think about it, if it's the government, right? It's the government coffee shop and charge people 100 something baht for a cup of coffee, people going to throw things at the government, and they're going to come out and then, you know, say bad thing about the government. These kind of things the government cannot do. So only private sector can do. So in order to move things so quickly and efficiently, and, you know, and make sure that it go towards the goal. So this PPP stuff is that it's the concept where, okay, the government have a policy. They just say abstractly the policy, what kind of thing they would like to have, right? And then they concession the project out to private sector with some control. For example, if you notice, if you go to BTS train line, the first phase, you know, the maximum right now is 42 baht. You can see. That's the first phase. Because the government say, okay, we give you the concession for the train, but in the contract, you cannot go beyond 42 baht. Right? So even though you give the right for the private sector to do the business, but you control the ceiling, right? So the private sector, they need to find ways, you know, whatever creativity they have, to provide the kind of service, and they can make the most profit out of it, right? But they can do whatever they want because they have the freedom to do so within certain amount. So PPP is, you know, and the third element is the people, participatory process for the people, for the communities, right? 3 elements come together. So you get the base of the tree. You get the right from the government, you know, the authority from the government. You have the efficiency from the private sector. You get the acceptance from the communities, right? So this is the kind of development that is, you know, is very popular right now. You get the funding, you feed in the money. Maybe sometimes it's a good thing. The government can even provide a tax incentive. For example, right now, the government is discussing about tax incentive for innovation districts. Right? So if the private sector move their research facility into this area, they will be waived some kind of tax, right? So if I'm the investor, I'm look at it and then say, okay, if I come to Khong San area, and then I can have tax waive. So my decision about where to put my research facility or maybe, okay, Khong San is good, right? Yoti is good, Siam Square is good, okay, Jaran Gu is good. So if it's like, it's a special economic zone. So this kind of thing can happen, so the government can support, right? But the investment is by private sector. So there's no obligation to the government, right? If the investment is failing, the government doesn't have to take the responsibility, right? The responsibility, financial responsibility will be under the private sector. So this is what they did in Turin. So, and they create the city to be what they call, again, urban land, right? This is the organization handling the urban lab things, right? So they create the okay, that is public-private partnership. So all the companies can use the city to test some idea, right? So they create something and they can send out their products to taste in the city. They can taste everything. They can taste from the traffic signs. They can taste how people use the open space in the city or something like that. Like in this building, we are planning to have again eat lab. Eat lab. So the people will just come into the place and eat. That's the only thing they need to do. Eat, just come to eat. There will be like cameras and things and sensor and everything. So they just come to eat. And then from that, the eat lab will then analyze the behaviors of people eating. How they look, what do they look, and how long do people spending for eating, and what kind of things they do. Are they eating just do they eating alone, or do they eat and talk, and do they what kind of things, and how they come together in groups, how they leave the space between this group and that group and that kind of stuff, right? So then you understand people better. So this is kind of thing they also do in Turin. So they use the real environment, the city environment, and use it as an urban lab. So that's the kind of things they do it. So the thing that work well under the condition can be labs you're talking about. So something that has been tested and well accepted can be presented to the funding agency, and now they will invest and create launching the product service in other cities. Right? So that's I think it's very kind of practical way. Okay. So this is the outcomes of the. So there's a boot camps, the training, as I said, human resource development. And we have that in this building too. On the 12th floor, we have, the innovation boot camp and the startup boot camp, to train the KUTT students who, would like to own a business. So if you go to the 12th floor, there will be different students coming in and use the co-working space for that. Okay. Just in brief. So it's real life. We don't have that. Okay. So that's good. So that's development. Okay. The third presentation is from Japan. So actually, it's from Nomura Research Institute in Thailand. But now we moved back to Tokyo. But the research institute is doing a consultation project for MIE CD. So if you, the landmark for MIE may be Isek Shrine. It's a Shinto shrine that is the origin of all shrines, the original spirit of the God coming, starting in Isek, and then so it's a very nice and simple structure. Architecturally, it's very interesting. Okay, so it's the area where it's full of natural resources, and all kind of agricultural products, and then there are some kind of industrial development in that particular place. But the idea is that how to utilize local products, right? So this one I think it's a little bit different from European cases because I think the idea of technology and design is something very universal in the Western culture. It's become very connected. But for Japan, I think everything is always coming out from inside. Right? So in order to create new things, that's what he said. In the Japanese culture, you need to go back and understand what we have and then develop from that on. So instead of jumping into all kind of new technology and things, they would then come back and take a look at what they have as a starting point. So, and they think about the whole supply chain of that particular products. They go to details, trying to understand, all the supply chain, the product, and very, sometimes very impressive in a way that, when we think about Japanese market, is that for me as a Thai, for example, in Thailand, you wouldn't see so much translated books in Thailand because the similarity between Thailand and Japan is that we have the kind of language that not so many other people are using it, right? When we talk about Chinese language, maybe quite a number of countries and a large number of people using Chinese, right? But when you talk about Japanese, so then supposedly it should be for Japanese and the same as Thai. When you talk about Thai language, right? Strictly it's for Thai, right? But when you take a look at in terms of book industry, if you go to Japan, there are all kinds of books translated into Japanese. It means that all these books are published only for Japanese people, mainly for Japanese people. Of course, there's a lot of people. But with that consumption rate, it can sustain the industry, right? And one thing that I wonder when I visited Japan is that, when you go to Japan, there will be a lot of innovations, special kind. You go to different places, there are, And you cannot find that kind of innovation somewhere else if you go out to Japan. It's only designed and manufactured and sold in Japan market. You know, at the starting point, of course. But if it's very good and very popular, maybe it's go around somewhere else. But with that kind of, you know, you go to Japan, you feel it. That diversity, you know, diversity and energy and things, right? With that market size, and you can sustain business. That's so impressive, right? And this, you know, so and the Mr. Kenko, who actually shared the slides, and he said that, you know, again in BA, you know, instead of looking out too much into the world market, he gave the consultation to me as citizen. Okay, just starting by understand ourselves, and then how we can make the best product and make everybody in Japan love it. Just, you know, it's different kind of thinking, you know, listening to this three set of slides, and, you know, there are different elements to it. So it means that there are very, what should I say, it's the spiritual element. You are not talking about product as products, but you're talking about products that have some spirit in it. And that's the aspect that he talked about. You know, it's something that with the belief and spirit behind the development of the product. So you are not look at the product just objectively. You are not looking at the innovation just objectively. If you see the product and that there's some Japanese spirit in it. So that's something. I felt like, okay, the earlier two didn't actually talk about that. And it's very interesting to think about, you know, the way people think differently across the. So I kind of enjoy the discussion. So you can see innovation and again. So he said that because of the universities, they, you know, so the university is the facilitator to link people together and, you know, share ideas. Okay, so that's the brief idea about BA. And then the people from this one, his name is Ken, but he's from Norway, he's from China. So this comes in another way, is all technology, you know, Internet of Things, you know, and the chairman of the NIA says innovation of things. It's like Internet. You know, it's like it's mean Internet in everything. You know? So it means that, you know, the world will be connected with technology. For example, I actually previously discussed with another lab in FIBO, which is a field robotic institute. So they are talking about would like to test some kind of device, electronic device, and maybe incorporate with the Paksin Hospital, which is located in that corner of this district. He said that, you know, because he found out that there are more people get into this Alzheimer condition, maybe including me, I have some symptoms in which I think that maybe I'm getting into this Alzheimer related stuff. So the problem is that when you're getting older or your brain doesn't work the way it should be, and then, you know, people go out of the house and then connect it back, and there's a problem, you know. So we are talking about creating this device that attached to the wrist, and then they can track, you know, the people who get this Alzheimer stuff, and then within the district, you know, when we can case within the district, and it can send the information to the satellite, and if, you know, they get lost somewhere and nobody know who he or she is, and then, okay, we can get him and her back home, right? And then with that, there may be, they could trace some of the health conditions of the people and send back and analyze and things like that. So this kind of thing, you know, is going to be related to the technology of Internet of Things. And I went to this exhibition in Tokyo last month. It's called House Vision. You know. So the new version of the house is like it's the Internet of Things again. You know. The exhibition is showing the way that you just put your mobile phone against the wall with the graphics on it, not even QR code, and then all the information will be transferred. Right? You can learn about the building and you can connect. You know, when you get to the house, there's a digital cat, which is too futuristic for me, of course, but you know, it's the kind of thing. You know, there's a digital cat coming to the front of the house, greeting you, okay, and you know, if you're working in the house and then somebody knocking at the door, you say, okay, the cat go to find out who's coming, you know, and the cat go on the wall and then, you know, go to the front door and then, okay, it's Cathy, okay, it's Cathy, okay, and then, oh, invite her in, or something like that. So, you know, it's kind of very futuristic kind of environment, and I think in one path of thinking, you know, we are getting to that point in time. I just went up during the break and I looked into the Facebook, and this Mark Zuckerberg, right? He has this virtual meeting, you know. So you can send your animated version of yourself into the meeting anywhere in the world, right? And people can see you, and you can see people. They just discuss virtually, you know, this kind of things that's going to happen. And there are people working on the robots. One professor in Singapore, you know, she's from SUTD, Singapore University of Technology and Design. So she's working on a robot, looks like herself, and if she's away from the class, the robot can teach. You know, so it's the mouth is moving and look like her and smiling and then expressing, and you know. So she's controlling the robot from another place. You know, but her robot is at the university, so the student come in the classroom and she can teach the student through the robot. So this kind of thing, you know, is the things of the future. So it's the kind of thing that, you know, Mr. Ken from China is talking about, that maybe in the future world things are connected digitally, and this new prompt pay stuff, you know, you would not need a real physical money anymore. Everything will be virtual. The concept of money will be different, right? You get a salary, it's about figure and numbers, and it's just the information. You will never have to get the coins and things like this. You can go to the, you know, people on the side of the street and say, okay, I would like to buy the banana. Okay, get it, charge, just go away, right, with the banana. So everything will be so virtual, and the government can track you. The bad thing about this, you know, because the vendors, they are not paying tax, right? Get the cats and everything. Right now, the government plan to tax, you know, into the vendors through the financial interaction. That's why they would like to encourage people to use the property. If you would like to find corruptions, you can easily do, because you can analyze the flow of money by using the digital calculation. So that's the advance, but there's some risk to it, invasion into privacy and all kind of stuff. But the thing is coming into real life. The futurism is here. Okay, the last case is by Thai developer. It's a Magnolia. Actually, the owner of Magnolia is CP. So they are developers, so they are looking at the new development in Sukhumvit 101. So they call Wisdom 101. So they are creating this new project. It's a kind of small city or district, but this is done by private sector. They got a big piece of land, so they think about the world need, will be more concerned about health, safety, and this kind of stuff. So they think about the new development should be green, should be sustainable. So they actually integrated all these elements into the development of the project. Wisdom 101. This is the city. So they said it should be the space for people for living and working, as I mentioned. But when I talk about it, it's the district, the picture of the district. But this project is the picture of one project, right? So there will be another place for living, the place for working, the place for socializing. So they say the first, the second, and what we always say, the third place. So combined in one project. So this is the master plan of the area. So there will be the park, integrated, right, into the space. And there's a green line, there's a campus life, and all these things, the elements of sustainable design will be integrated in the design itself, in the detail design, lighting, LED lighting, district cooling, high efficiency water cool chillers, all the technology is integrated into the building. And even for the bike lane is integrated. We mentioned everything about this in our district, but this one they apply it into the project itself. The jogging, and they said jogging is a bit difficult, so they need to create functions or programs or activities along the jogging track to encourage people to jog. Some kind of thing like that. So behavior is taken into consideration. So this is the visualization of the project, the park that people can gather, and they just, I'm not so sure whether it will be boring or not, living in one place, let's say one building, entertaining yourself in one building. So, but all kind of these are discussed, and I think similar ideas of different versions are explored. So, for your open studio project, I think it's a kind of will be nice, because I think you come from different backgrounds, and we maybe have different ideas and things, and it's good to come to share, and then maybe working together with our Japanese colleagues coming next week, right? It will be interesting to see how the results go. But other than what you're working here, we are working on so many things out there, right? Not only in this one, but if there's some idea coming up, maybe we can apply to the bigger picture of the project. Because this project will go on for 10-15 years before for it to take shape. Right? Talking about it's not happening tomorrow, but it will happen in 10 years and 15 years. So we need to think about it and find more collaborations and investment and things, so on and so forth. So hopefully it would lay some foundation for you to think about innovation district. What kind of thing you can come up with. Multidisciplinary program. So I think I kind of like it because we need to look at things from different perspectives, right? And sharing, and then we will get a very practical and achievable solutions. Because if you look at the problem from one point of view, and then it will never actually apply. The world is multidisciplinary. That's the concept of our program. To allow people from different backgrounds to have a platform to discuss and find new solutions. So that's the aim of our program. So you need to utilize that and be strong, right? Be strong about what you know best, but be attentive to others people's own knowledge and experiences. And then if you can integrate, it's good to talk about it, but no bad feeling about it. You can disagree, you can agree and disagree. It doesn't matter, right? But something going on in your thinking is very important. And putting this out into the world is very important. Questions or anything? Otherwise,
share your ideas
yeah.
or your perspective.
Yeah, just can give comment to whatever I presented, and then I can listen also to your opinions. How you feel about it? Is it realistic enough, or is it too imaginary, too visionary, or something?
Or any ideas that you want to share about your upcoming final project?
Maybe too soon, maybe.
Maybe you have to
Need some time to digest the information.
some kind of that, and they might have to have a chance to join AT workshop first,
Yeah.
as this is going to give you a hands-on experience.
Contemplating on it, see what happens.
Okay, so
Okay.
on behalf of the class, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here today. Give us some more thorough and in-depth perspective of the innovation district concept that I hope that is going to be useful for all of you for the upcoming projects and also the workshop later in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. See you around.
All right. I would like to talk about the upcoming next week of reflections a little bit, because I know that all of you need to prepare this, right? First of all, still some people haven't submitted all of your journal, weekly journal. Also, don't forget there are 2 pairs from the work of Adam Lewis. Alright, so you know that you haven't submitted the work, so I'm not going to say your name out loud here. Alright, but you know already. But if you want to check if you have already submitted or not, you can check it here. I have this the checking the list. Okay, so next class it will be the reflection class. This is going to be your section. You have to prepare the presentations. It lasts around 10 to 15 minutes. Alright? 10 to 15 minutes for each of you. This is going to be the individual work. You you are going to present. Present what? The first thing, what you have learned. It can be like the whole picture, or it can be some parts of the knowledge or the experience from the class that you want to focus. Okay? So, alright, and also you must show us how it can be integrated or used for maybe your career, your work, your study, or your personal life. In what way? Maybe why you like it, why you want to reflect it. Some kind of a criticism over the lessons from this class. Alright? Also the third part that you need to show it in a creative way. You can use any media or any tools or any method, any pattern, any platforms you want to show us here. Make it interesting. Alright? And I would want you to have your classmates share the ideas with you also. While listening to your friends, alright? The other classmates, you should participate. You should show or share some idea with the presenters as well. Help sharing the idea. This is like optional, but I would want to see you helping on this. Alright? This is going to help the presenter and yourself as a good listener, as a good presenter, and you share the idea together. Alright? So, anybody wants to questions? Ask questions? Not really? So, all of you need to be here next week, starting from 1 p.m. sharp. So,
What about the sequence of the presentation?
it's like voluntary. So it's up to you. If you want to, maybe you can come to me first. Okay, Ajahn, I want to be the first, and then I will just register the sequence of the presenter. Maybe, okay? So if you say that, Ajahn, I want to be the first. Okay, Rod, you go first. Okay, whatever. But if you volunteer to be the first, it's up to you also. Nacha, maybe
Up
you
to
will say, hey, I
you
want to
all.
be the first.
Because
Uh-huh.
we have to plan, right? The sequence, I think it's
Or you want to like register now? It would be okay.
No, not me. I think like everyone can be volunteer, but if you don't want to be volunteer, we can like create some kind of lucky draw there. Yeah. To be fair, to be like
I will draw. I will draw the name. Okay. Okay. If nobody volunteers, I will just draw
ask
the
in
name.
the class.
Okay, the first one, Selena, you go first. Then something like this. This is not real yet. Okay.
Do you want to like lucky draw today so we can prepare ourselves? Like we're gonna be the first and then or you want to be like on next week? Today.
But anyway, you all
We can
have to
make
be
our own.
here.
We can
You
make our
all
own.
you all need to be here at 1 also. You can't just pop up. You just show up at 3 because my sequence is like the second half of the class. No, but we have to be here at 1. So you can listen to your friends and you can learn from them.
at any moment.
Okay, you want a lucky draw right now? Okay, good.
So we just write the number 1 to 14 and then you're picking up.
Okay, good.
ใช่ไหม
It's good.
อ่อน
You want to do so?
หาเนี่ยกระดาษ4 อันก็เสร็จแล้ว